I lived with Nathan for 7 years, and he betrayed me 8 times with one bed partner after another. The ninth time, he was in a presidential suite at a five-star hotel with Sophia, picking out lingerie to take her to Paris for a wedding photo shoot. I stood at the door, holding the freshly signed divorce agreement in my hand, laughing like a madwoman. He furrowed his brows and asked me, "Emily, what are you laughing at? Are you out of your mind?" I didn't respond. Instead, I silently sent a message to the man on the other end of the phone. "The agreement is signed. When should I come to your place?" He replied quickly. "Tonight, I'll be waiting for you at my private airport in New York." The phone buzzed once. My bank account showed $8 million had been transferred, with the note, "Dowry?" I gave a cold smile, put away my phone, and turned to leave. Nathan shouted after me, "You can't live without me." But he didn't know that last night I had spent the night with his arch-rival Michael, and the feeling was much better than with him. Bigger things were yet to come. He thought I couldn't live without him, but I had already prepared a plan, waiting for him and Sophia to fall into it. The outcome was predictable. I used to be the chief financial officer of Johnson Group and Nathan's partner. 7 years ago, I had just graduated from Harvard's finance program. I was young and full of ambition, dreaming of changing the world. Nathan was already a powerful figure in the business world at the time, in his early 30s. Handsome and charismatic. The kind of man who could make anyone believe in him. When he was courting me, he would park his limited edition Bugatti outside my apartment every day and send me so many roses that they could have flooded the entire neighborhood. I was completely smitten, believing this was love, so I foolishly moved into his mansion and became his fiancée. But within 6 months, his true colors began to show. The first person he cheated on me with was Sophia, a new intern at the company. She was young, attractive, and undeniably alluring. Nathan walked into the office with her, right in front of me without locking the door. The sounds coming from inside made me feel incredibly embarrassed. In a fit of anger, I smashed his antique vase. But he casually handed me a check, saying, "Emily, don't get angry. Men just play around. You need to learn to be more forgiving." Holding the check, my hands trembled violently. But I managed to swallow my anger. Because Johnson Group had significant business ties with my family's Williams Group, my father had specifically instructed me on his deathbed to protect this relationship at all costs. Since then, Nathan's girlfriends have come and gone, all young, beautiful models, influencers, and live streamers, each one spoiled rotten by him. And I'm like a fool, trapped in this glamorous cage, doing his laundry, cooking his meals, and taking care of him and his girlfriends. Sophia was the most domineering one. She not only took Nathan for herself, but also took my office, my car, and even my bed. One time, she was wearing my silk nightgown, lying on our big bed, and batting her eyelashes at me, saying, "Emily, this bed is so comfortable, but it's a bit old. Maybe we should ask Nathan to get a new one." Nathan was laughing happily beside her, patting her thigh and saying, "Baby, whatever you want, I'll buy it for you." I lowered my head to wipe the floor, holding back tears, thinking to myself, "Emily, you're really pathetic." This time, when we broke up, I didn't cry or make a scene. My mindset was as calm as a still pond. Nathan thought I would beg him to come back like I used to. But he was wrong. I'm not that Emily who used to cry and hurt herself anymore. Last night, I was at Michael's private estate, drinking 1982 Lafite, leaning against him. As he whispered, "Emily, leave that guy. I can give you all of New York." Michael is Nathan's arch-rival, holds a high position in New York's business circles, and is known for his ruthless methods and complex background. When he looks at me, his eyes are like those of a starving wolf fixated on its prey, filled with possessiveness. I don't care, as long as it makes Nathan regret it. I'm willing to be anyone's target. On the day we broke up, it was pouring rain in New York. I stood at the entrance of Nathan's mansion with my luggage, my fingers white from the rain. Nathan and Sophia stepped out of their Maybach, and when they saw me, they sneered, "Emily, are you really leaving without me? You probably don't even have a place to stay, do you?" Sophia covered her mouth and teased Nathan, "Don't say that. Emily is the daughter of the Williams family. She can't be that desperate, can she?" I didn't respond to them and silently opened my phone to call a car. Nathan seemed to feel a bit embarrassed, grabbing my arm with an impatient tone. "Stop pretending, Emily. Where can you go? Come back with me. Tonight, accompany me to a cocktail party. Sophia can't make it, so you can hold the fort for her." I shook off his hand and coldly looked at him, saying, "Nathan, We've already signed a breakup agreement. You have no right to tell me what to do anymore." He paused for a moment, then sneered, "Oh, so you dare to act so boldly now, do you? Just wait. Without me, you're not even worth a dog." After saying that, he wrapped his arms around Sophia and walked into the house, slamming the door shut, splashing muddy water all over me. I stood in the rain, clenching my fists, the anger in my heart like a venomous snake, quietly biting at my heart. Over the past 7 years, I've given so much to Nathan: my youth, my dignity, my career, and even the Williams Group my father left me, all slowly devoured by him. But what about him? He's out there living it up, surrounded by people, treating me like a free nanny and a shield. I truly hated him, and I hated myself for getting entangled in such a relationship for so long. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Michael. The car had arrived at the airport, and we would board the flight in 10 minutes. I took a deep breath and dragged my suitcase into the car. The lights of New York shone brightly outside the window, but my heart felt as cold as an ice cellar. I knew that from this moment on, I would ruthlessly expose Emily's facade and make Nathan and Sophia pay for what they've done. When the plane landed on Michael's private island, it was already nighttime. The island was lit up, and a European-style mansion stood by the sea, as beautiful as a castle in a fairy tale. Michael, dressed in a black suit, stood on the tarmac, followed by a dozen bodyguards in black. He extended his hand, a smile on his lips, welcoming me home. "Emily." I was a bit startled, but I took his hand, my heart racing. His hand was warm and strong, giving me a sense of security. I followed him into the mansion, which was lavishly decorated, with crystal chandeliers casting a dazzling glow. The servants stood in neat rows, greeting us in unison, "Good evening, madam." The scene left me speechless, but Michael whispered in my ear, "From now on, you are the mistress of this house." In the 7 years I had been with Nathan, he had never shown me such respect or given me such a position. In his eyes, I was just a dispensable person, but Michael made me feel like a real woman. During dinner, Michael poured me a glass of red wine himself, looking at me with a gentle gaze. "Emily, tell me, what do you want, Nathan's life or his company?" I raised my glass, took a sip, and pictured Nathan and Sophia in my mind. I clenched my teeth and said, "I want them to fail and lose everything." Michael smiled and said, "All right, I'll help you, but you have to give me something in return." After saying that, he stood up, walked behind me, and gently traced his fingers along my neck in a suggestive manner. "Stay with me tonight." I froze, my mind racing with complicated thoughts. Michael wasn't easy to get along with. He was helping me only because he wanted to use me to strike back at Nathan. But I had no way out. Nathan had taken everything from me, and I had to seize every opportunity to seek revenge. I turned around and kissed his lips, whispering, "All right, deal." That night, Michael and I stayed in the master bedroom of the estate until dawn. His kisses were passionate and intense, each one feeling like he was enveloping me completely. I closed my eyes, my mind filled with images of Nathan and Sophia. Every time I thought about their betrayal, a surge of revenge filled my heart. Michael whispered in my ear, "Emily, you're even more captivating than I imagined." The next morning, when I woke up, Michael was already gone. On the bedside table was a black card and a letter. The letter read, "There's 500 million in the card. Spend it however you like. Return to New York this afternoon and prepare your plan." Michael was different from Nathan. He was practical and never did anything pointless. He calculates every step, but he also gave me the chance to change my destiny. After returning to New York, I moved into Michael's Skyline mansion in the city center, an 1,800 square meter penthouse with a view of the entire city. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, I dialed the phone number of an old shareholder of the Williams Group. "Uncle John, I want the shares my father left me." Uncle John sighed over the phone. "Emily, over the years, Nathan has drained the Williams Group of its assets. The shares have already been transferred to Sophia's name. Getting them back won't be easy." "Difficult? Then make him spit everything he's swallowed back out." After hanging up, I opened my computer and began compiling evidence of Nathan's misdeeds over the years. Over the past 7 years, as the chief financial officer of Johnson Group, I had uncovered many of his secrets: tax evasion, commercial bribery, illegal fundraising, each one serious in its own right. I compiled all the evidence into a document, anonymously sent it to the New York Tax Authority and the Securities and Exchange Commission, and simultaneously contacted Michael's team, hoping they could help amplify the public outcry. 3 days later, Johnson Group's stock plummeted, and the internet was flooded with negative news about Nathan. Nathan was frantic and came to Skyline Mansion to find me. As soon as he entered the door, he shouted, "Emily, what's going on? Did you report me? Do you know how this will affect the Johnson Group?" I sat on the sofa, holding a cup of coffee, and spoke slowly. "Impact? Isn't that exactly what you want, Nathan? You've made me suffer for 7 years. I'm just getting my revenge." He was so angry his face twisted, and he charged forward to attack me, but was stopped by the bodyguards at the door. Michael came downstairs, wrapped his arms around my waist, and coldly looked at Nathan. "Johnson, Emily is my girlfriend now. If you dare to do anything to her again, I'll make sure you can't live in New York." Nathan froze, his face turning pale. Finally, he clenched his teeth and said, "Emily, you wait. I'll make you regret this." With that, he slammed the door and stormed out. I leaned against Michael's chest, but my heart wasn't at ease. I knew Nathan wasn't the type to give up easily. He would definitely strike back. And Sophia? That little vixen wouldn't let me off the hook either. Sure enough, a couple of days later, Sophia posted a long article on Twitter titled "Love Ruined by a Cheating Woman." In the post, she angrily accused me of seducing Nathan and breaking up their true love, even sharing a few intimate photos of Nathan and me, dated exactly 2 years ago. Those photos were taken by Nathan back then to convince me to remarry him. I never thought Sophia would use them as evidence. It's both laughable and tacky. The public outcry grew intense, with a flood of criticism directed at me online. The topic, Emily, is the other woman, trended on social media for 2 straight days. Nathan seized the opportunity to hold a press conference, portraying himself as the victim. He said, "Emily is the person I love most, but she betrayed me, and I'm deeply hurt. However, I still hope she will change her mind." I sat in the living room of Skyline Mansion, watching his performance on TV, so angry I almost threw the remote control. Michael handed me a document calmly, saying, "Take a look at this." I opened it and found detailed information about Sophia. She wasn't just an ordinary intern. She had been secretly in contact with several wealthy businessmen and might even have helped Nathan launder money. My heart sank. If this information were exposed, Sophia would be in big trouble. Michael raised his eyebrows and said, "Don't worry, there's more. Nathan has recently been collaborating with an underground money launderer to transfer assets and flee the country. I've already had someone keep an eye on him." My heart sank again. I realized Michael's methods were even more ruthless than I had imagined. He not only wanted to completely destroy Nathan, but also ensure he had no chance of recovering even a single penny. I looked at him and couldn't help asking, "Michael, you've done so much for me. What do you really want?" He smiled, pinched my chin, and said playfully, "I want you, Emily. What I want has never been just revenge against Nathan." My heart tightened and a flash of worry crossed my mind. Michael was too good to me. It felt unreal. Every move he made felt like he was playing a game of chess, and I wondered if I was just a pawn on his board, or if he truly cared about me. Nathan's press conference sparked a lot of online discussion, and Sophia's victimized image was heavily sensationalized. My name even topped the trending search list. Some people online hurled insults at me, accusing me of being shameless, of destroying someone else's relationship, and of being a gold digger. I turned off my phone, picked up the wine glass, and the red wine looked especially vibrant under the lights. Michael walked up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and whispered, "Are you angry? Angry? They don't deserve it." He chuckled softly, his fingers gently tracing my collarbone with a teasing tone. "That's right, Emily. Anger is a sign of weakness. You need to learn to trample those emotions underfoot." I turned around and stared into his eyes. Those eyes were as deep as an abyss, hiding something I couldn't see. "Michael, where did you get all that evidence you showed me? How complicated is your relationship with Nathan?" He smiled slightly, seeming to have a deeper meaning. "Do you want to know? It will require something in exchange." He lowered his head and kissed my lips with an irresistible intensity. I didn't push him away, but I didn't fully give in either. Michael's kiss was like poison, sweet enough to be addictive, yet unsettling. I understood that he wasn't helping me out of affection. I was just a pawn in his plan, but what did it matter? As long as Nathan and Sophia were punished, I was willing to be the scapegoat, even if it meant being used by them in the end. The next morning, Michael's team exposed Sophia's scandal. Several videos spread rapidly online, showing Sophia wearing a revealing dress, hugging several bald billionaires. and laughing happily. Screenshots of bank statements showed she had received millions in service fees. Public opinion shifted instantly, and the topic of Sophia sleeping with men became a trending search. Netizens criticized her for being hypocritical, accusing her of pretending to be innocent and claiming she wasn't even worthy of being a mistress. Sophia's Twitter comments were filled with messages telling her to get out of New York. Nathan couldn't hold back and called me directly. "Emily, did you do this? You've lost your mind." Sophia is facing a lot of criticism online and can't handle it anymore. I leaned back on the sofa, slowly trimming my nails, and said casually, "Collapse, isn't that perfect, Nathan? Aren't you the one who loves seeing women cry for you?" Now Sophia is crying her heart out. "Shouldn't you be happy?" He shouted angrily on the other end of the phone. "Emily, don't get too cocky. Sophia is innocent." "Those videos are all fake. I've already hired the most professional PR team. They'll clarify the truth soon." "Innocent, Nathan. Can't you see clearly? Or is your brain not working properly? How many men has Sophia been with behind your back? Don't you have any idea?" He paused for a moment, then said angrily, "You shameless person, just wait. I'll make you pay for this." After hanging up, I didn't feel happy at all. Although Sophia's misdeeds have tarnished her reputation, Nathan still has a solid foundation. He still has a chance to make a comeback. I need to act quickly and cut off all his escape routes. Michael walked into the living room and handed me a document. "The transactions of Nathan's underground money laundering operation have been thoroughly investigated. I will arrange for someone to intercept his funds tomorrow. Once he goes bankrupt, the New York business circle won't tolerate him anymore." I flipped through the documents, which detailed Nathan's transactions with the underground money launderers, totaling billions of dollars. I was startled and looked up, asking, "Michael, with such a huge investment, aren't you worried about losing money?" He smiled like a cunning old fox. "Worried, Emily? I've been in New York for 20 years. I'm not afraid of anyone." He paused, his expression turning serious. "However, this matter requires you to handle it personally. Nathan trusts you the most. Only you can lure him into the trap." Michael was sending me to be the bait, taking a huge risk. 3 days later, I met Nathan at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, the most luxurious hotel in New York. The rotating restaurant on the top floor was bathed in flickering lights, with the neon-lit night view of New York outside the windows. I wore a low-cut black dress, applied exquisite makeup, and sat by the window, like a spider waiting for its prey. Nathan arrived on time, dressed in a suit but looking tired. When he saw me, a flash of surprise crossed his eyes, followed by a cold smile. "Emily, what are you doing? Trying to change my mind?" I raised my glass and smiled at him. "Seduction, Nathan, you're really self-absorbed. I just want to discuss a business deal with you." He sat down, sounding impatient. "Go ahead, what is it?" I handed him a forged contract, pretending it was Williams Group's financing plan. "Williams is short on funds, and I want you to invest. The condition is that you return the Williams shares you hold to me." He paused for a moment, then burst into laughter. "Emily, you've really got it wrong. Williams has nothing substantial now. Why would I give you my shares?" I pretended to sigh helplessly. "That's fine. Michael has already agreed to invest in me. I'm just giving you a chance because we've known each other for 7 years." Upon hearing Michael's name, Nathan's expression changed instantly. "What did he offer you to make you trust him so much?" I leaned closer to him and whispered, "What did he offer you, Nathan? He can give me things you can't." I paused, my tone vague, "including in bed." Nathan's expression darkened, clenching his fists and almost grinding his teeth. "Emily, you're such a disappointment." I couldn't help but laugh, raising my glass and drinking it in one gulp. "Disappointment, you forced me to feel this way." As I stood up to leave, Nathan suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Wait, I can give you the shares, but you have to come back with me and leave that man named Michael." I pushed his hand away and said coldly, "Nathan, you have no right to make demands of me. By tomorrow, transfer the shares to me, or you'll regret it." As I left the restaurant, I could feel Nathan's gaze piercing my back like knives. I knew he had fallen into the trap. Michael's plan was to have me lure Nathan into transferring the assets, then cut off the funds at the critical moment of the transaction, leaving him completely bankrupt. But I felt uneasy inside. Nathan wasn't a fool. Would he really fall for it so easily? The next day, Nathan really transferred Williams' shares to me and signed that forged financing contract. The moment I received the shares, I felt a long-lost sense of satisfaction. The Williams Group was built by my father with blood, sweat, and tears, and it was my only source of support. Over the years, Nathan had taken it away from me bit by bit, and now it was finally back in my hands. Before I could celebrate, Michael called, "Emily, good job. At 8 o'clock tonight, the dock warehouse. Nathan will be there in person. You need to go." I was stunned. "Me, Michael, that's too dangerous." His tone grew cold. "Dangerous, Emily. If you want revenge, you have to accept the consequences. Don't worry, I'll make sure you're safe." After hanging up, I clutched the phone tightly, my palms sweating. The dock warehouse was the most chaotic place in New York, filled with all kinds of people. Nathan's business partners were even involved in underground money laundering. As a woman, going there was like walking into a trap. I had no way out. At 7 o'clock in the evening, I changed into a black, tight-fitting outfit, put on a mask, and followed Michael's bodyguard to the dock. The warehouse was dimly lit, and the air was filled with the smell of seawater. Nathan had already arrived, accompanied by several burly men carrying black boxes. The man he was dealing with was a middle-aged man with numerous scars on his face, his eyes cold and ruthless, like a venomous snake. As the transaction began, the atmosphere grew tense, like a taut string. Nathan opened the boxes, which were filled with cash. The scarred man inspected the money, nodded, and signaled his men to hand over the hard drives. Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed outside the warehouse, followed by gunfire. Michael's men burst in, and a fierce fight erupted between the two groups. I hid in the corner, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was about to burst. Nathan spotted me, his eyes flashing with surprise, then began shouting, "Emily, you dare to betray me!" Before I could explain, a bullet whizzed past my arm, causing intense pain. I clenched my teeth, crawled to the ground, and had only one thought. I must survive. The chaotic fight lasted for 10 minutes. Michael's men gained the upper hand, the scarred man was subdued, and Nathan was pinned to the ground with severe injuries on his face. Michael walked in, his suit stained with blood. He glanced at me and said calmly, "Emily, get up. The show is over." After the fight in the warehouse, all of Nathan's funds were seized, and the transaction records of the underground money-lending operation were also obtained by Michael's men. Nathan knelt on the ground, his hair disheveled. Still cursing, "Emily, you're such a hateful fool. I won't let you off." I stood before him, feeling pity for him for the first time. "Nathan, how you treated me 7 years ago is exactly what you deserve today." Michael walked over, wrapped his arm around my waist, and gave Nathan a taunting smile. "Mr. Nathan, your woman is now mine, and your money is also mine. Leave this city, or I'll make you regret it." Nathan glared at us with hatred in his eyes, but said nothing. After the bodyguards dragged him away, the warehouse was left with only the pungent smell of blood and a deathly silence. On the way back to Skyline Mansion, I leaned against the car, the wound on my arm still bleeding. Michael handed me a handkerchief, his tone gentle. "Does it hurt?" I shook my head. "It doesn't hurt. Compared to the past 7 years, this is nothing." He fell silent for a moment before suddenly saying, "Emily, you're stronger than I ever imagined." I looked up at him in surprise. "Stronger? Michael, aren't you the same?" He didn't respond, but instead gripped my hand tightly, his eyes betraying a complex mix of emotions. In that moment, I suddenly realized that Michael's feelings for me might not be as simple as I had thought, but I didn't have time to dwell on it. Nathan was down. But Sophia was still out there, and she wouldn't let me off easily. Michael's true intentions left me feeling confused and unsure. Back at Skyline Mansion, I opened my computer to check the latest updates from the Williams Group and found that all the shares had been returned to me, and Williams' stock price was steadily rising. I had finally reclaimed everything that belonged to me, but I didn't feel much joy. 7 years of humiliation and pain couldn't be forgotten overnight. I wanted a complete victory, not just to punish Nathan, but to make Sophia admit her mistakes in front of me. Standing by the window with a cup of hot coffee in my hands, my mind was still on the confrontation at the warehouse. Nathan's funds had been seized, and Johnson Group's stock had plummeted. He couldn't even enter New York's business district now. Despite this, I felt no sense of relief. I knew the matter wasn't over yet. Sophia had disappeared for several days, seemingly overwhelmed by external pressure. But someone like her wouldn't give up easily. Michael walked up from behind and handed me a document. Nathan's last batch of overseas assets had also been frozen. He was truly out of money now. I opened the document, It contained records of some secret accounts Nathan had in the Cayman Islands, though the amounts weren't large. They were enough for him to start over. Michael, how did you even find out about this? How many secrets do you still have from me? He smiled like a cunning fox, gripping my chin. Emily, all you need to know is that I can fulfill all your needs. His fingers gently slid down my neck, carrying a hint of sensual warmth, including Nathan's life. I pushed his hand away and said coldly, I don't want his life. I want him to live and see everything he's lost with his own eyes. Michael raised his eyebrows, a hint of admiration flashing in his eyes. Not bad. I like that ruthlessness. He paused, his tone turning serious, however. Sophia has been making some moves lately. She's contacted a New York mobster and plans to take you out. Be careful. As expected, she didn't disappoint me. Sophia's methods are very much her style. 2 days later, I received a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end sounded hoarse. Emily, 10 o'clock tonight? The abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. Come alone, or your secret will spread throughout New York. I froze, my mind racing with various thoughts. Secret besides Nathan's shady dealings, what other secrets could I possibly have? But the caller didn't give me time to think, hanging up immediately. I didn't tell Michael, afraid he'd use me again. At 9 p.m., I put on a bulletproof vest, grabbed a small stun gun, and drove to the outskirts of the city. The factory looked old and dilapidated, like a haunted house, with the air filled with the smell of rust and mold. As soon as I entered, I heard footsteps. And Sophia emerged from the shadows. She was wearing a tight leather outfit and heavy makeup. Emily, I didn't expect you to actually come. She gave a cold smile, followed by several men covered in tattoos, each holding an iron rod. Sophia walked toward me, slapped me across the face, and said, You're so unlikable. You ruined everything for me. Today, I'll make you suffer. I covered my face, a trickle of blood flowing from the corner of my mouth, struggling to suppress my anger. Sophia, do you really think these few chaotic men can handle me? You're so naive. She laughed hysterically. Naive, Emily, do you know what I have in my hand? She pulled out a phone and played a video. The footage showed Michael and me in a private island villa, in an intimate embrace that made me blush. My heart raced. If this video leaked, my reputation would be ruined. Sophia smirked, waving the phone. What do you think? Kneel down and beg me, and I might consider letting you off. I seethed inwardly, quickly devising a plan. Sophia is so arrogant, she must have something up her sleeve. I need to calm her down first. I feigned fear and whispered, Sophia, where did you get this video? We can talk this out. She sneered, do you want to know? Then give me William's shares first, and Michael is mine. Don't touch him. I froze for a moment, then sneered, yours? Sophia was so angry her face contorted. She glanced at the men and ordered, go, beat her until she begs for mercy. Several men charged at me. I immediately pulled out my stun gun and took down one of them, but there were too many enemies. I was quickly pinned to the ground, and fists rained down on me like a storm. I clenched my teeth, enduring the pain with only one thought in my mind. I can't die here. Just then, the sound of gunfire rang out, and the factory door was kicked open. Michael rushed in with a team of bodyguards. Sophia screamed in fear, and the men were immediately subdued. Michael walked over to me, helped me to my feet, and said, Emily, why didn't you tell me? I forced a smile and said, I told you, would you have let me go to my death? He didn't say anything, just glared at Sophia, then whispered a few instructions to his bodyguards. As Sophia was being dragged away, she kept screaming, Michael, you can't do this to me. I'm doing this for your own good. I furrowed my brows, feeling that things might be more complicated than I thought. Michael held me as he got into the car. His tone serious, Emily, I'll handle the video. But you have to promise me you won't act alone again. Back at Skyline Mansion, Michael had the video from Sophia's hands disposed of. But I felt increasingly uneasy. Sophia's words echoed in my ears. Michael is mine? How dare she say that? She's just a mistress being shunned by the entire internet. Unless there was an agreement between her and Michael that I didn't know about. I began to secretly investigate Michael's background. 7 years ago, he and Nathan had both made a name for themselves in New York's business world, but later fell out over an overseas investment. Michael left the country and returned 5 years later, this time acting even more aggressively. However, I came across a piece of information that unsettled me. Sophia had once been Michael's girlfriend, and 2 years ago, she had approached Nathan and become his partner. This discovery was a huge blow to me. I recalled all the ways Michael had helped me, such as the private island he had provided for me, the massive credit card, and the risky deals we had done together. Was all of this part of his plan all along? Am I just a pawn in his game, or is Sophia his true ace in the hole? I decided to test Michael. That night, I wore a very special silk nightgown, climbed into his bed, kissed his lips, and said in a playful tone, "Michael, you've been so good to me. Have you liked me all along?" He paused for a moment, then rolled over and pinned me down, whispering with a smile, "Emily, are you trying to seduce me?" I didn't answer, continuing to kiss him, but my hand quietly moved toward his phone, wanting to check his call history. But before I could get it, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. His expression turning cold. "Emily, what are you doing?" My heart raced, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Nothing, I just wanted to see your phone wallpaper." He looked at me for a few seconds, then let go of my hand, his tone carrying a deeper meaning. "My phone? There's nothing worth seeing. Emily, there are some things you're better off not knowing." In that moment, I realized Michael was hiding something, and this secret might become the biggest twist in my revenge plan. A few days later, Nathan posted a video online titled Emily's True Colors. In the video, he was visibly upset, accusing me and Michael of conspiring to ruin him and drive him into bankruptcy. He also presented several forged documents, claiming I had embezzled funds from Johnson Group. The public reaction was intense. The hashtag about my embezzlement quickly rose to the top of the trending list, and there were even more people online attacking me than before. Williams Group's stock price plummeted, and shareholders started calling me, asking if I had lost my mind. "Nathan, this guy, things have escalated to this point, and he still manages to cause trouble." However, Michael remained calm and handed me a new document. The video of Nathan was orchestrated by Sophia, who was instigating him behind the scenes to target you. I flipped through the document and saw the call records between Sophia and Nathan. She not only encouraged Nathan to post the video, but also promised to help him make a comeback, on the condition that he transfer the remaining assets of Williams to her. Sophia really didn't sense the danger. Michael furrowed his brows. "What do you plan to do about her?" I clenched my teeth and said, "I want her to lose everything." With no chance of redemption, Michael nodded and handed me an invitation. "Tomorrow night, the New York Chamber of Commerce annual gala. Nathan and Sophia will both be there. Go and make this a memorable performance." The Chamber of Commerce annual gala was a major event in New York's business circles, attracting prominent figures from all walks of life, a perfect opportunity to showcase one's revenge. But I sensed that Michael sending me there was not just about dealing with Nathan and Sophia. On the night of the gala, the New York International Convention Center was ablaze with lights, and luxury cars arrived one after another. Nathan and Sophia stood in the crowd. He wore a cheap suit and looked dejected, while Sophia was dressed flashily, clinging to Nathan's arm and laughing as if she were very pleased with herself. I walked over with a glass of champagne and whispered to them, "Hey, Nathan, Sophia, you two are so down on your luck, yet you still dare to show up here." Nathan saw me and flashed a look of anger. "Emily, don't get too cocky. Your luck has run out." Sophia covered her mouth and laughed. "Emily, I heard that all the shareholders of Williams have withdrawn their investments. Can't you even afford to eat now?" Before I could respond, the large screen in the hall suddenly lit up, playing a video. The screen showed quick flashes of Sophia with several wealthy businessmen, followed by a recording of her conversation with Nathan. "Nathan, just send that video and make Emily look bad, and I guarantee I'll help you turn things around." The atmosphere in the room tensed up instantly. The guests began whispering among themselves, and Nathan's face turned pale. Sophia panicked and ran toward the backstage, trying to shut off the video, but was stopped by security. I walked onto the stage, holding the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sophia is not only a homewrecker, but also a complete fraud. She colluded with Nathan to frame me for embezzlement, and the evidence is in the video. As for Nathan," I paused, then smiled at him, "your dealings with the underground money lender have already caught the attention of the police. Good luck to you." The venue fell silent. Nathan collapsed on the ground, muttering to himself, "It's over." "Everything's over." Sophia was dragged out of the venue by security, still cursing, "Emily, you're too much. I won't let you get away with this." I stood on stage, watching them, feeling an unprecedented sense of relief. 7 years of grievances had finally been avenged in this moment. Just then, Michael walked up to me, wrapped his arm around me, and announced to everyone, from today onward, Emily is my fiancée. The Williams Group and the Michael Group will merge to create a new legend in New York's business district. Fiancé, merger, what on earth was happening? After the annual meeting, I followed Michael back to Skyline Mansion, so angry I almost dropped my high heels. Michael, what do you mean, fiancé, merger? How dare you make this decision for me? He sat on the sofa, slowly poured himself a glass of whiskey, and spoke calmly. Emily, you want Williams to grow and prosper. Relying on you alone, it might not even take 10 years. Merging with me is the fastest way? The fastest way? This is just your excuse to take over Williams, isn't it? He put down his glass, walked up to me, and looked at me deeply. Take over, Emily? Do you think I've helped you all this time just for the Williams family's fortune? He paused, his voice lowering. 7 years ago, Nathan and I were competing for a project. He used underhanded tactics to bankrupt me and ruin my father. From that day on, I vowed to make him pay. I never thought the best way would be to take away the woman he cherishes most. Michael continued, Emily, the first time I saw you was at the Williams family gala. You were wearing a white dress, standing on stage presenting your financing plan. At that moment, I knew I wanted you. I helped you take revenge on Nathan not just for myself, but because I wanted you to live a good life. 7 years of humiliation taught me to distrust everyone, but Michael's gaze made me waver. I clenched my teeth and asked, what about Sophia? Is she really your mistress? He paused for a moment, then nodded. 2 years ago, she was mine. I asked her to get close to Nathan and gather evidence against him. But she betrayed me and sided with Nathan. This time, the video she had was actually something I intentionally leaked to trap her. What a clever plan. Michael, you're really something. He didn't argue, just gripped my hand tightly and said seriously, Emily, my feelings for you are real. Marry me, and I'll give you all of New York. I shook off his hand, turned, and stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door shut. My heart was a mix of emotions, hate and gratitude. I couldn't even begin to describe it. A month later, Nathan was arrested on charges of illegal fundraising, and Sophia was exposed for more scandals, disappearing from New York completely. Under Michael's investment, Williams Group's stock price soared, bringing the company back to the forefront of the business world. Standing in the high-rise office of Williams, I looked out at the lights of New York City, but my heart felt empty. The feeling of revenge was like fireworks, beautiful but leaving only ashes behind. Michael sent me a bouquet of roses every day, along with a card that read, "Wait until you say yes." I didn't respond to him, nor did I throw away the flowers. 7 years of pain had made me afraid of love, but Michael's persistence was like a flame, gradually melting the ice in my heart. 3 months later, I finally accepted his proposal. Our wedding took place on Michael's private island, with the sea breeze gently caressing us, and the train of my wedding dress flowing like waves. Michael knelt down on one knee and placed the diamond ring on my finger. Emily, from this day forward, I will protect you with everything I have. I looked into his eyes, and tears streamed down my face. 7 years of grievances and 7 years of suffering finally came to an end in that moment. After the wedding, I stood by the sea and threw away the old ring Nathan had given me. The waves carried it away, and I turned to walk toward Michael. In that moment, I realized I had finally become my true self.